Okay, Lonecrit? Do you know why we're here?
Is it to have an intervention for your gunpla buying problem?
It's an intervention, but not for me. It's for you. You see, we've heard you going around spouting stuff like, Demon Slayer isn't really bad. I like Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Well, this isn't about that. Most importantly, that finished seasons 1, 2, and Mugen Train before finishing Kamen Rider Kuga or Turn A Gundam.
That too.
I also watched season 1 and Mugen Train in 2 days.
What do you have to say for yourself?
I liked it. I had fun. Mostly.
Guys, can you believe this guy?
I can't believe this guy. I don't know.
He's not sipping the haterade.
Shut the fuck up, Kaiser. You gave season 2 a 6 and Mugen Train like a 5 or a 6 or something.
I changed my mind about season 2. I changed it to a 5.
Well, hold on. When did you do that, Kaiser?
That's not important. That's not about. This isn't about me.
I think it is. Why don't you explain? Why don't you robot-splain to me when you did that?
Well, I would, but we're not talking about season 2. We're talking about season 1 this episode.
Here's what I think happened. I think you switched it literally this week, and now you have the nerve to lecture me on what I score them.
Pixar didn't happen. Also, I'm not lecturing you about the scoring. CBF is doing that. I'm just harping on you because there's some other shows that you could have easily spent more time on.
But instead, you binged 44 episodes of Demon Slayer.
And I could have spent my time finding different friends, but I didn't do that. So, who's the real loser here?
I'm pretty sure you tried, but in this universe you failed.
Well, I'm pretty sure I've been going around hanging at some friends' places playing Bloodborne till 3 AM, so I think it's clear who's winning here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened in the other world, Lonecrit. We're not in the other world. But in any case, Demon Slayer.
I will mention, it's a shame we talked about these things a little bit beforehand in VC, before, actually doing this recording, because I would just love to see the discussion on the Tanjiro versus Rui fight completely fresh.
You see, that's your fault. That's your fault.
Yeah, number one, that's your fault, and number two, then we would have had to have just, done that immediately after you got part way into episode 20. Because that was the funniest shit in the world.
Shut up. Anyway, so I will say about Mugen Train, the other day we were VCing and I told you there is a really, really horrible flaw in Mugen Train, which is that it doesn't make sense.
It's Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer does not make sense that much.
Well, I told you the entire plot for Mugen Train didn't make sense, and this is really bothering me. So, if you'll remember correctly, the Demon Slayers went to the Infinity Train because 40 people had been killed. No, 40 people had disappeared there, right? And we saw in the beginning of the movie that, Rengoku beheaded a demon that just appeared in the cart that was presumably the one getting the kills. So, if Enmu's plan was to assimilate into the train and make it part of his body so he could eat all the people inside it, then why the fuck was he A, working with another demon, and B, why the fuck did 40 people disappear in the train, which is what alerted the Demon Slayers that there was some funky shit going on in the first place?
Yeah, he could have just done the assimilating train thing, much earlier.
Not even. Why were there any casualties at all? Why did the Demon Slayers go there at all?
Yeah, he could have just, done anything else with that. Just have that as a hub for, transportation or something, I don't know.
No, not even. Are we really supposed to believe that Enmu was supposed to be working with this, random chucklefuck demon? Or was that completely independent? Because I can only assume it's independent, because what in the fuck did that demon killing some people on the train have anything to do with Enmu's plan?
Maybe he needed some food?
See, that's what I mean. The plot of Mugen Train makes no goddamn sense. Because in a universe that it did make sense, Enmu would have gone, assimilated, gotten 200 people, and then the Demon Slayers would have gotten the news and been like, wait, what? By which point Enmu would have dipped.
Right.
Oops!
That's what we call an idiot plot, ladies and gentlemen.
CBF, I can't believe you didn't notice. I can't believe you didn't notice how stupid that is.
To be fair, I didn't notice either until you told me here, but that's mostly because I didn't think Mugen Train was that great anyway.
That, and to be honest, the initial explanation for why they came on at the end of season 1 was in one ear, out the other.
Yeah, yo!
It's like, alright, they're doing this, okay.
Yeah, because, like, in the beginning, we were like, oh, yeah, some people have been disappearing on the Infinity Rain, and then I see Enmu's plan, I'm like, but how's one thing related to the other? Was this just like a test run for him? Was he testing it? Why? He clearly knew it worked.
He needed to test it harder, Lonecrit, okay? He needs to make sure that it's up to Char Aznable level, okay? It needs to be 3 times effective.
Did he just need to did he just experiment with the one card? Like, did he do just the tip and then move on to the rest?
I mean, that's how you do it. I don't know why you're laughing. That's how you do it.
We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, though, because we gotta talk about season 1 first.
I like it, it's good. Ish.
Even though I ragged on season 1 a lot, I will say, outside of episode 5, which we'll get to, for outside of that, the first 8 episodes of the show, 8 to 9, are not bad for the most part. In fact, there is some good stuff here every now and then.
You say that like none of the rest is not bad. The Hashira meeting was good.
None of the rest is not bad! Almost all the rest is terrible!
No, how's the Hashira meeting bad? The Hashira meeting was good. The fuck is your problem?
The Hashira meeting goes on for
no,
way
it doesn't.
too fucking long. We get Edgelord Samurai Bakugo just being Edgelord Samurai Bakugo.
Dude, the Hashira meeting is like 2-3 episodes.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Everything else in Demon Slayer happens at such a breakneck pace for the first 19 episodes that immediately after the Rui fight, everything just goes at half speed by comparison.
I had absolutely no problem with the pacing. I think you have a skill issue.
Wait a second, how long was that? How long was that meeting again?
Yeah, a good 2 episodes.
I thought that was 1 episode.
I don't know, 2-3 episodes, something like that. See that proves my point. It felt like 1 episode to Kaiser because it just breezed by. You're just an asshole, CBF.
Nah.
Look, to be fair, it's been a while since I've seen season 1. I only have the benefit of hindsight here. To me, it felt like 1 episode because that's what a good show would do, is have a moment like that be like 1 or 2, but...
I only have 2 problems with the Hashira meeting. A, why is it that the entire time the Hashiras were deliberating over if they're going to kill Nezuko and Tanjiro or not, to the point where Gyu Tomioka was also seen as like a co-conspirator, or rather as some level of guilty anyway, and they nearly did kill them, and they really did come to blows, when the entire time the master could have just sent like a crow to be like, oh, BT dubs, wait a sec, put a pin in that one until I get there.
Right.
Especially because he does communicate with the others later on other stuff, so why couldn't he just, like, tell them, be like, hey, guys, hold off, don't go after these guys until I've come to a decision.
Yeah, it's pretty out of character.
Yeah, like, he's not exactly like a secretive string puller type, he's not Muzan.
Yeah, no, and especially because, like, the season 4 premiere, which I was dragged into, there's another scene where he directly communicates with all of them anyway. Oh, well, in this case, he actually has to send someone else to do it because some other stuff's going on with his physical health. But at the time here in season 1, no.
Imagine being dragged into Demon Slayer. Shake my head.
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh, poor you, CBF, having to watch Demon Slayer. I mean, what, you know, you just, you know, you woke up one day, you were watching Demon Slayer, you didn't ask for this.
You didn't choose this, but there it is.
I didn't choose mid this time. But here it is. But anyway, let's get back to, like, those first 8 episodes, because aside from that thing, I will say, there were some good stuff here and there. Again, I went over this last time, but,
Hold up. I'm gonna have to cut you off there. I need an explanation on this, because one other thing, Hashira meeting, they laid the gimmicks on for the Hashiras a bit too hard. But aside from that, let's say hypothetically speaking the pacing is bad. It's not, but let's say hypothetically it is. What the hell drags it into bad territory?
yeah, I think you kind of just explained that other part for me. It is just like the gimmicks of the Hashiras are just... Like, the Hashira gimmicks, like, for all of them, well, for most of them that get introduced there, it's like, wow, I immediately don't care about a single one of them, aside from the 2 that we already know. Like, the crying guy. oh, he's a stoic, he claps his hands to shut everyone up sometimes, while having, like, manly tears come down. It's like, yeah, okay, and again, Edgelord Bakugo being Edgelord Bakugo. And again, we have so much to cover in such a short time, that is not even one of the more notable things we could talk about.
Yeah, enough about CBF's Bakugo trauma.
Bakugo fixation.
It is at best dull and frustrating. Even if it's not like one of the worst things about season 1 at all.
I don't think it's dull or frustrating.
That's like your opinion, man.
I don't think it's dull or frustrating. I think you're a hater. I found it to be like a really engaging meeting. I think we got some really nice character things out of Tanjiro. Really, my only problem was when he came back to yell at them. Oh, when he came back to like punch the Bakugo looking guy. Like, aside from that, I thought it played out really well. Out of context, I didn't like that. I found Tanjiro very dislikable when you showed it to me at a long time ago for not respecting authority, but you know what, I didn't realize that Tanjiro has never seen an authority figure that he knows as an authority figure before, ever. He never went through more organized training. His entire, like, career as a demon slayer has been completely decentralized up until that point in time, and the only authority figure that he did know, Gyu, he didn't know was an authority figure.
That, and he was just immediately hunted down by all these guys anyway, so this is his introduction.
Yeah, everybody acted very maturely, very unprofessionally, and on top of that, considering what he just went through and what he just did, the situation was completely unreasonable. I'm like 95% behind Tanjiro in that situation.
Not to mention, again, it happened because of an idiot plot. Literally, the guy could have just done anything, be like, hey, don't go after these guys right now. And this whole thing could have been avoided, but we needed to conjure up a reason for Tanjiro to be dragged into meeting these guys now.
Because he's an underdog, guys! Don't you see? He's the underdog!
And because Nezuko gets persecuted every now and then by people.
Look, if the Hashira meeting is bad for that reason, then Mugen Train is bad because the plot makes no sense. That's not enough to make it bad.
It's that plus the other stuff. But anyway, we have more important things to talk about. As I was initially trying to say, but before Lonecrit made us go on the most pointless tangent of all time in the show's history.
Okay, hater.
End of episode 7, start of episode 8. I went over this way long ago, but even though I don't care much about Muzan past season 1, in season 1, his introduction, genuinely great villain introduction. Just like him hiding with the family, and then just be like, hey, okay, so you suspect me? Fuck you. Hey, you see that guy? I'ma demonize him. I'm gonna make him a demon. You can't do anything about that. Nobody saw that except you. You're just gonna look like a fucking crazy person. Oh, and you initially tried to kill me before? Well, here's my kid. Good luck being an asshole now. Killing a dad in front of his kid. It's like that. He had Tanjiro so hard on the ropes. Like, if he was like Guts or someone, he wouldn't care. But Tanjiro is like, he's a 17-year-old kid who has a lot of moral standards and beliefs and a sense of sensibility. He had that man just pegged down.
He's just not super smart.
I'm sorry, Lonecrit. How would you outsmart your way out of that situation? To kill Satan in front of their family?
By not getting into it in the first place. What Tanjiro was trying to do was dumb.
I mean, fair.
Yeah, basically he was almost basically assassinating a demon in broad daylight.
Like, even that, like, he should have been able to tell from Muzan's scent that he was, like, really, really strong. The fact that he as a novice demon slayer would try to go into that without reinforcements because he thought he had a chance is fucking insane.
It is.
But anyway, and the other thing, again, the introduction of the Doctor Lady Demon, who was like the first non-Nezuko, non-evil demon we see in the entire show, that gives a more clinical perspective on this whole thing that is still developing, and gives Tanjiro a new, like, sub-reason, a new sub-goal, to be like, alright, I'm gonna try to collect some of, like, the ashes and cells of the demons as they're dying in order to help facilitate the possibility of healing Nezuko. That could actually be really good. It does not come up very often, unfortunately. Even in terms of, like, boss fight kills, it is very infrequent with how it comes up in later arcs, but still.
Yeah, it feels incidental.
This entire thing comes off like a first draft. By the way, just really that HCBF, I'm just gonna say this to annoy you. I actually like Zenitsu.
You're actually exaggerating on purpose, because we know you don't like him that much. I just know you don't hate him, like I do. Because frankly, I'd rather listen to early Asta from the beginning of Black Clover.
Look, I dislike his comedy scenes, if that can be called comedy, but for the rest of his, actual more core existence in the show, I actually like him. We're gonna get to season 2 another time, on another day, but there I actually found him pretty likable.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way after rewatching a couple of episodes and scenes with Lonecrit. I don't think he's overall that bad. It's just that since he's mostly the comic relief, his comedy doesn't relieve me. So I'm more annoyed by him.
If anything, it plagues me. The comedy plagues me so much, and throughout what I've seen, most of the time, when it comes to anything else, it's not enough to offset the balance. I imagine it's a lot more palatable in the manga when we don't have these super in-your-face, wacky facial expressions and movements going on, and when we don't have that voice acting going on. But especially in the anime, half of the time he's absolutely intolerable.
Also, like Zenitsu, I like his backstory, I like his motivation, and above all, I think I just like that he's a good guy. In some ways, he feels like one of the most morally conscientious members of the group.
I like his backstory as well. I hate how it was conveyed. And you know this, Lonecrit, when we initially saw that flashback, the way it's structured was absolute cancer.
Yeah, that is true. By the way, this is a slightly Season 2 problem as well, but... Well, no, this is more so a Season 2 problem, but if I have to see a flashback or a mental imagination thing of Tanjiro's family one more goddamn time, I am going to kill the nearest one of my pets I find and paint the walls with its blood.
It's between that and all of the flashbacks and the stuff with the demons as they're dying, a lot of time it's used exclusively just to be like, hey, we need something emotional and or surprising, awesome, borderline asshole, but not quite asshole, but sometimes actually is an asshole power-up thing to happen. And then other times it's just like, oh, this is just a bit of a pace breaker.
You know what, with the demons, largely I do not agree. We have talked about this before, I think it is additive from the show, but I will compromise with you. I'll make a compromise, because we have talked this before off camera. I think that this is a additive experiential attribute to help create an experience for the viewer by confirming and validating, Tanjiro's worldview that the demons are to be pitied for essentially becoming transformed Ship of Theseus Ship of Theseus style into something completely divorced from what they were originally be as human beings. It's not feel bad for the demons, it's feel bad for the human beings these demons once were a long time ago. But, and you, from what I understand, think, no, the show is saying, pity the demons. Oh, they are humans too.
Not pity the demons for who they are, pity what was robbed from them.
That made them that way.
But in either case, it's still, well...
Look, either way, back to my point, I'm gonna compromise with you, because this is something I think we can agree on, regardless of the way we may see how the show presents its demons, and that's that the way the show presents the demons, what they are, is a complete and total fucking mess. It just picks and chooses what it wants its demons to be and how much humanity it wants them to have, just however it feels like for that story and that arc. Rui, mostly not human, no memory. I don't remember who. Other people, memory. The drum demon, his humanity relates to... His humanity stems not from when he was a human, but when he was early on into being a demon and trying at something. Hand a demon in the beginning of season 1. Just evil, seemingly as soon as he turned a demon. And his goodness or humanity lies in when he was human. It's just, some demons, their humanity, their goodness, their whatever, it's when they were human, sometimes early on when they turn, sometimes, whatever the fuck.
All I gotta say is, you never get this out of Mavericks, okay? This is why Mavericks are the best antagonistic force of any media.
There doesn't seem to be, like, a consistent vision for what the demons are, and how their humanity, former humanity, relates to their present state. Because we see other demons who chose to become demons, and they're basically, like, still humans, they're just demons now. Like, what was his name? Well, we don't know shit about Enmu.
We're good, we don't need to know shit about Enmu. That's one of the things I liked. When he was ranting about the fact that he was gonna die after he fucked up, we don't need to see that. We don't need that kind of pity moment. Just like, fuck, dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I forget his name, Gyutaro, I think, the final villain of Season 2. He was basically exactly the same as when he was human. He's, like, no different.
Yeah, he just doesn't remember all that much about when he was human.
It was 100 years ago. What do you want from him?
But then we get the hand guy from the very first arc, where it's like, he was just like a normal kid, he got lost with his brother in the forest and died, and then now as a demon he's a malevolent spirit of pure hatred. And hands.
Like, I think you can make an argument maybe for, like, humans who choose to become demons versus ones who have it forced on them, but still, it seems like a little bit of a stretch, especially because I don't see why there'd be any difference.
Yeah, not to mention the way they're not just written, but also just presented, also kind of varies. Because, like, with the one from the Hand Demon, we get all that, like, him being mustache twirler baby eater, but then, like, we get this, like, sad moment where he's crying, he's like, oh, how could this happen to me? And then it goes into, like, a little bit of what his humanity was like before realizing, oh, I'm a demon now. Meanwhile, Tanjiro's just, like, walking to him, all solemn, like, oh, yes, you used to be human. Let me hold your hand a bit and pray that when you're reincarnated as someone who does not become a demon. But then you get, like, some of these other guys and how that's done.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a bit, but I will say I actually quite like Tanjiro as a lead. He's quite repetitive, but I do like the idea of him being, like, this very compassionate lead who, like, prays for the souls of the dead.
It kind of reminds me of Jonathan Joestar, really.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
In some ways, a little bit of, like, Natsume from Natsume Yojincho, where it's just, like, this sense of sensibility and the fact that even with demons or yokai, like, in either case, whether they're friendly or antagonistic, a lot of the time he still can pity them and have a sense of sensibility for them. I think with Tanjiro, he's alright. I can see the idea. I think he's let down by the rest of the cast because I don't think he has a particularly good chemistry with most of them. Not really helped by Nezuko, who is calling her a character is generous. She is a Swiss Army knife plot device, plus Nanali from Code Geass, but worse. And a pet.
Nezuko has the level of intelligence and consciousness that the series wants her to have in any given moment, and the fact that she's just a baby, to me, is completely insane. Because if the idea is that I'm behind Tanjiro because he wants to restore this thing that isn't really his sister anymore, it's just, like, kind of mentally like half his sister, I can understand that. But, the series seems to, like, pick and choose, kinda?
It makes it hard to care about their relationship together when at best she's the player 2 character and at worst she is a literal object whose existence and what the show wants her to do just fluctuates at any given point. Oh, we need to give her some random bullshit power? Okay. We need her to just suddenly go to sleep for an entire year? Okay.
Yeah, bold of you to assume that she's even a player 2.
Again, she's more of a pet than a family member. But yeah, I'm like, I really dislike the way that the series presents Nezuko, especially considering what a strong hook we had initially. I don't know how, but I feel if, like, it's gonna present her as, like, kind of mentally or expressively stunted, it could go about it differently. Because I think my favorite episode of, one of my favorite moments was in episode 1, where, like, Tanjiro and Nezuko, like, bury their family and then they're holding hands and they're walking off and, like, Nezuko is pale white and, like, her hand is perfect, because of course it is, she's a demon, she's stronger now. Tanjiro's is, like, red and, like, scratched up and dirty, because not only is he human and he did the fighting, but he's the one who buried the graves. Well, maybe she helped, but you still get the point. I was like, I don't know, I think there's a very strong moment, and then you get what you get, and it's like, oh, she's a pocket player too.
Yeah, this could have been an interesting mix of, say, Casca post-Eclipse from Berserk, mixed with a little bit of Alphonse from FMA. Like, not in a complete sense, but you get the idea here. That sort of strong familial connection that is layered with a decent amount of tragedy to it.
Yeah, I don't feel like the show portrayed familial connection.
This could have been the beating heart of this fucking show. And they wasted it almost every time they do so. Because all it amounts to is whatever bullshit power Nezuko comes up with, and other than that, she's barely present for most of it.
Speaking of bullshit power, oh man, I am so torn on that moment. Yes.
Yeah, like I was about to say, let's finally address that, because, like, the Rui stuff, it's like, it's the biggest tragedy, because it's conceptually the best thing, but fuck.
Okay, guys, you're gonna call me insane for this, but, like, I think I actually kind of like the scene where, like, Tanjiro unlocks the power-up.
Dude, what?
Look, if we put aside for a second the fact that it makes no sense, I really like how it brings together everything that Demon Slayer is about. You know, Tanjiro and Nezuko scoring the win against Rui together. And the fact that, like, Tanjiro gets this power-up because of, like, his closeness with his family, which is the thing that Rui lacks.
So, Lonecrit, what you're saying is, yeah, if we just, just sit down, in front of the show, rip out our brains, and throw it in the fucking toilet. Yeah, this scene is pretty good.
Just like, insert that one freaking douchebag chocolate quote from Al Noah Zero review here.
Oh,
if you remove all the stuff that we don't like, or the stuff that's bad, everything is good.
Okay, hear me out on this. How much does it really matter?
It matters quite a bit.
It matters a lot when literally the crux of your payoff of an arc, or most arcs, is contingent on just bullshit contrivances happening.
Well, here's the thing. From a thematic standpoint, it makes perfect sense. From the point of view of, like, portraying the idea of, like, family and, like, a familial connection, bond and love, like, turning into power that can overcome adversity, I think that scene is actually the gold standard for shounen. Audio-visually and in regards to, like, portraying that, I feel it's, like, kind of perfect. For me, the only problem is, it's just that it's a massive ass-pull.
Oh, okay, it's not quite an ass-pull, but it feels like an ass-pull. Both that and the Nezuko thing, they feel like ass-pulls, even though they're technically not. They're just so contrived.
Honestly, I find Nezuko's thing more believable than on Tanjiro's end. Because on Tanjiro's end, it makes no fucking sense.
Oh yeah, like, in the beginning, actually, wait, off camera, CBF and I were talking about this, and in the beginning he's like, no, Nezuko's thing is more bullshit, and then I talked him out of it, and I'm like, no, actually.
Wait, you actually thought that was more- wait, what?
I think it's more so just the fact that it was a double whammy. If it was Tanjiro's thing, that would be bad enough. And then Nezuko's thing happened, it's like, okay, now this is the cherry on top. Because it's like, the Tanjiro's thing, well, it didn't quite come out of nowhere, but it's still just like, the foreshadowing and things to pepper into that were so they were so light, they were so nebulous. And then it's just like, oh, I'm dying. I suddenly remember this thing about my father, that he had an entire year of training in episode 3 that never came up once in any regards.
That's such bullshit. We never even heard about his dad. We never even heard a single word about his dad. For all we know, he could have gone out for a pack of smokes and we would have been none the wiser.
He probably got smoked. He's a fire user.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, for me, Nezuko's thing actually kind of makes sense, because look, all season we've been like teasing the mysterious properties of Muzan's blood, and how it can do weirder and weirder shit in like a greater concentrations. We've been made aware multiple times that it can power up Nezuko, and we've never come close to like seeing the ceiling for that power. So I'm like, I can fully accept that with enough stimulus, Nezuko would just do some crazy shit. It was building up to that.
Yeah, that's fine. The fucking sun breathing or fire breathing bullshit is bullshit.
It's like, the Nezuko thing can be more fine in theory, even though the execution is very contrived. The Tanjiro thing, it's like, you immediately think about it, and it's like, wait, huh?
Yeah, before we come back to this, I do want to mention, I think one of my favorite moments in the show, that I think is just really beautiful to express, like, what kind of person Tanjiro is in Mugen Train, when, like, the person goes into his subconscious, and then gets to, like, his soul core or whatever, and just gets walked up to it by, like, little light manifestations of, like, Tanjiro's consciousness that just, you know, is so willing to, like, accept people and trust them that they just walk him to the core. Like, he is so taken aback by just being exposed to the nature of the person he's about to kill that he just can't do it. I like that a lot. I nearly cried.
I did like that part, but I do feel that it kind of needlessly, in some ways it does woobify Tanjiro a little bit too much, but on the other hand, I do
shut the fuck up.
Wait a minute, I'm okay, you had your moment to compromise earlier, now it's my turn. Because I believe that in every other regard, that scene is very good. Because that's a very perfect expression of what is supposed to make Tanjiro different within the context of Demon Slayer's world and his place as a slayer. Because everybody else is just going for the kill and disregarding the humanity of the people that they are fighting. But Tanjiro is the only one, or at least the foremost person, that wants to maintain that.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, what about Shinobu?
I said foremost, that's why I caught myself, okay? But what I'm saying is that yes, I understand that is supposed to be what makes Tanjiro different. Honestly, if it weren't for the other bullshit things involved with the show around him, or even some aspects of his power progression or his character, I would feel that this would be much less of a woobifying moment.
And not to mention, the whole thing, the whole scene itself is genuinely, like, that and the ending are the two reasons why I kind of like Mugen Train. It's like, this feels like it's digging deeper into the core of the pathos of Tanjiro, not just the fact that he wants to bring back the one family member he has, but also exploring his actual sorrow and the loss, the pain of the loss, beyond just how it influences his protectiveness of Nezuko and his desire to bring her back. Just like putting him in a situation where in this sort of dream sequence, he is having his normal life with his family again, and then having him just feel the worst pain of having to go back from that, knowing he's in a dream that he has to leave it.
About that, I demand you lower your score right goddamn now. There is no way the movie's a 7 and the show is a 4. The difference in quality is not that large, my guy. I refuse to accept that.
I can maybe lower to a 6.
A
maybe.
6. Okay, yeah.
But it's like, between that and like the Rengoku stuff, which...
Badass.
Yeah, Rengoku was badass as hell. I surprisingly didn't even mind like the scene with like him near death, just seeking a little bit of affirmation from his dead mother who he believed in all this time, on whether or not he actually managed to live up to her and become someone like she's proud of and whatnot. And funny thing is, that isn't even my favorite moment from the ending, it's everything after, when Tanjiro and even Inosuke are mourning.
Yeah, Inosuke is the unsung hero of this show.
Yeah, like he tries to snap Tanjiro out of it, like don't mourn from like be proud and whatnot. Meanwhile, he is himself breaking down while trying to make Tanjiro not break down.
Inosuke's the GOAT.
I actually still like him, even though they do a weird thing with every other arc, where they try to give him, like, a weird gimmick. Like, that one gimmick where everything, he's, like, feels all flowery, with, like, literal, like, flower effects coming in immediately after the drum arc, or Meleater arc thing.
It's cute. I like it. It's like, because in the beginning, if you remember, he's, like, really bitter and aggressive and negative. It shows that he is, like, positively, like, being affected by Tanjiro's openness and his positivity and the idea of collaborating with other people.
Wasn't it also mainly more with, like, the old lady who was sending them on this one quest for a little bit? But in either case, it feels like it's more, it feels a little drawing in the moment, but also they just abandoned that. And then we just get other gimmicks like, oh, Mugen trailing. Oh, I'm the leader now. I'm a leader, guys.
I don't know, man. I think you're capping. Like, it seems perfectly consistent with this character to me.
You know, it's like he gets a new thing, a new thing every arc, and it sort of abandons another aspect for like for a gimmick. Whether or not they work, it definitely feels like they're like changing and discarding aspects about him, even if they're not significant.
I think it works well with Inosuke's character because he's just naturally that flighty.
He's an idiot, but funny.
I'm not gonna talk much about the movie, I'm just gonna, like, say I don't think it was very good. I would give it a high 5 to maybe a low 6. The first half was good, and it flowed really nicely. I did get emotional when we saw the scene where Rengoku's, like, talking to his little brother and telling him not to give up and pursue his beliefs in life, regardless of what his dad tells him. I think that is what, like, one of the beating heart moments of the entire movie. But for me, the movie really dragged in the second half. Enmu is more like a video game boss than a character, because he tries very little, really. Once he sees that the gang can't be affected by his eyes and stuff, he does very little to actually try and preserve himself when they try to cut off his neck. He just feels like a video game boss where he's like, oh, you're done with phase 1, now you're in phase 2. Now in the second half of the health buff of phase 2, you get, like, several additional moves. It feels like a bad Elden Ring boss.
Well, most of them feel like that. Not as much, but in different ways. Like, remember Rui, and we got phase 1, and then phase 2, and then it's like, oh, never mind, that win doesn't count. Phase 3, here's a cutscene of Giyu coming in and, like, no-selling and one-shotting that guy for you, cause fuck you, fuck that moment.
My point being, Enmu didn't feel like a character, he had no sense of self-preservation.
And Akaza just sort of came out of nowhere. It's like, sure, the explanation of...
Akaza's arrival is bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, sure, the explanation of, well, I just happened to be in the area, and so I was sent in by Muzan because I'm closest. On a textual level, that works, but presentation-wise, he just shows up because we need a new villain in the final act.
Look at me, I'm just here now.
By the way, I just putting it out there, Demon Slayer, I give it a 5. CBF, I know you gave it a 4. Kaiser, I know you gave it a 5. I'm willing to consider a 4, but yeah, like, another thing I'd like to complain about is just, oh man, the CGI, it feels so weird because the show looks quite good, but then you get to the CGI and it just looks, just look really, it's like, jeez.